modern buildings have to achieve certain performance requirements, at least to satisfy those of building codes, to provide a safe, healthy, and comfortable environment. However, these conditioned environments demand resources in energy and materials, which are both limited in supply, to build and operate. Every few seconds, our eyelids automatically shutter and our eyeballs roll back in their sockets. So why doesn't blinking plunge us into intermittent darkness and light? New research shows that the brain works extra hard to stabilize our vision despite our fluttering eyes. The role of women in promoting voluntary medical male circumcision uptake. Research reveals the important role played by women in influencing men to undergo circumcision. Women are also motivated to convince men to undergo male circumcision because of the benefits associated with them, such as reduction of HIV transmission and cervical cancer. In every cultivated language, there are two great classes of words which, taken together, comprise the whole vocabulary. First, there are those words with which we become acquainted in daily conversation, which we learn from the members of our own family and from our familiar associates, and which we should know and use even if we could not read or write. The central idea of this book concerns our blindness with respect to randomness, particularly the large deviations. Why do we, scientists or non-scientists, hotshots or regular Joes, tend to see the pennies instead of the dollars? The most significant difference between an eating disorder and disordered eating is whether or not a person's symptoms and experiences align with the criteria defined by the American Psychiatric Association. The term disordered eating is a descriptive phrase, not a diagnosis. Titanic swarms of desert locusts resembling dark storm clouds are descending ravenously on the Horn of Africa. They're roving through croplands and flattening farms in a devastating salvo. Experts are calling an unprecedented threat to food security. On the ground, subsistence planters can do nothing but watch, staring up with horror and at their fields in dismay. Particle accelerators produce and accelerate beams of charged particles, such as electrons, protons, and ions, of atomic and subatomic size. They are used not only in fundamental research for an improved understanding of matter, but also in plethora of socio-economic applications related to environmental monitoring, food quality, energy, and aerospace technologies. Programs, such as delicate wash or color wash, are one of the features of washing machines, particularly fully automatic washing machines, which gives you the choice when it comes to how you want to wash your clothes. Giving pocket money to children as young as 4 or 5 years helps them start learning about the value of money and money management. When children get pocket money, they have to make choices about spending or saving. Astronomers announced that they have finally assembled an image of the supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy. This image shows a bright ring surrounding the darkness, the telltale sign of the shadow of the black hole. The benefits of home fencing are not only as a barrier between the area of the house and the surrounding environment. In simple words, a fence is a formation or structure that is above the ground and is generally vertical, with the intention of limiting an area, protecting everything inside the fence from threatening danger from outside the fence. Psychology is the study of cognitions, emotions, and behavior. Psychologists are involved in a variety of tasks. Many spend their careers designing and performing. When someone commits a criminal act, we always hope the punishment will match the offense. But when it comes to one of the cruelest crimes, animal fighting, things rarely work out that way. Bolstered by the result of laboratory experiments, researchers dare to say that gaming might be mentally enriching. These scholars are the first to admit that games could be addictive, and indeed part of their research explores how games connect to the reward circuit of human beings. Despite many similarities with literary political debates in other nations, there are also ways in which the cultural and political situation in Scotland has left the study of Scottish literature in a significantly different condition from that of literary studies in many other parts of the world. An environment of rapid change, technological innovations, and increasing business competitiveness has highlighted the growing importance of management development. In particular, the general movement towards great employee involvement and making things happen through people has emphasized an integrating rather than a controlling style of management. Efficiency is not your friend when it comes to cognitive growth. In order to keep our brains making new connections and keep them active, you need to keep moving on to another challenging activity as soon as you reach the point of mastery in the one you were engaging in. Adult and adolescent cannabis users are no more likely than non-users to lack motivation or be unable to enjoy life's pleasure, new research has shown, suggesting there is no scientific basis for the stereotype often portrayed in the media. Intangible assets perform a number of distinctive functions in the life of each company. Firstly, they witness the prosperity of the firm in its good name. Such a position allows human resource management to employ professional workers and increase labor productivity. Moreover, intangible assets guarantee future value for the firm. Countries bordering the Mediterranean have built up a solid reputation for sunshine, great tasting food, as well as impressive health statistics, featuring some of the lowest rates of heart disease and increased life expectancy. The executive residence in the White House in the United States of America, where the president resides, is divided into several wings. It also includes the vice president's and president's staff's offices. This government building is a national heritage. Whether salamander, frog, or toad, amphibians are some of the most diverse and far-flung animals on the planet. However, they're disappearing, and experts are worried since frogs are considered bellwethers for the environment. Japan is the world's calculator superpower. Japanese manufacturers have led sales of calculators for over 30 years in many countries. Even in the age of personal computers, calculators are still essential in accounting jobs. Cloud seeding, a form of weather modification, is a way of attempting to change the amount of precipitation that comes from clouds. Cloud seeding is carried out by dispersing substances into the air, but it also occurs due to ice nucleates in nature, most of which are bacterial in origin. What produces these effects are familiar to neuroscientists: external light and dark signals that help set our daily, or circadian, rhythms, clock genes that act as internal timekeepers, and neurons that signal to one another through connections called synapses. But how these factors interact to freshen a brain once we do sleep has remained enigmatic. If your doctor suspects heart disease, blood tests will be ordered to check your cholesterol and triglyceride levels, as well as look for proteins that could signal heart failure or plaque in your arteries. Until now, Mars has been generally considered a geologically dead planet. An international team of researchers led by ETH Zurich now reports that seismic signals indicate volcanism still plays an active role in shaping the Martian surface. A study of nearly 2,000 children found that those who reported playing video games for 3 hours per day or more performed better on cognitive skills tests involving impulse control and working memory compared to children who had never played video games. Air pollution reduced when U.S. embassies around the world installed monitors and tweeted the readings. The resulting reductions in air pollution levels had large health benefits for residents in these cities, speaking to the potential efficacy of other monitoring and information interventions. Vitamin D deficiency linked to premature death. Over a 14-year follow-up period, researchers found that the risk for death significantly decreased with increased vitamin D concentrations, with the strongest effects seen among those with severe deficiencies. Belief that the COVID-19 pandemic was a hoax, that its severity was exaggerated, or that the virus was deliberately released for sinister reasons functions as a gateway to believing in conspiracy theories generally. Instead, pandemic skeptics were more likely to believe in 2020 election fraud. For 2 summers in Pioneer Mountains, the roar of rushing white water filled the air. But where the loud sounds prevailed, only gentle streams flowed by. These phantom rivers were part of an experiment led by ecologist Dylan. As climate change brings more wildfires to the western United States, a rare fungal infection, valley fever, has also been on the rise. It causes coughs, fevers, and chest pain and can be deadly. The culprit fungi thrive in soils in California and the desert Southwest. Surgeons in New York City successfully attached a pig kidney to a human patient and watched the pinkish organ function normally for 54 hours. Such procedures have been done in non-human primates. However, this is the first time that a pig kidney has been transplanted to a human body and not been immediately rejected. One of the great contributing factors to mental illness is the idea that we should at all costs and at all times be well. We suffer far more than we should because of how long it can take many of us until we allow ourselves to fall properly and usefully ill. Movies are an integral part of us. They mirror what we believe and how we coexist as people. It is easier to see our concerns, attitudes, flaws, and strengths in films than it is to decipher them from our daily interactions. When our prevalent beliefs and ideologies are challenged in films, we are sometimes able to interrogate ourselves and embrace change. Before a heart disease diagnosis is made, your healthcare provider will gather a full medical history and perform a physical exam. If your doctor suspects heart disease, blood tests will be ordered to check your cholesterol and triglyceride levels, as well as look for proteins that could signal heart failure or plaque in your arteries. Birth rates today have fallen to their lowest point in history. While birth rates have historically been connected to economic cycles, the present decline is happening during good economic times. The idea behind recycling is simple. By breaking old products down and converting them into something usable again, we conserve natural resources. Sadly, it's not that simple. Recycling is deeply entwined with our economic system, and right now doesn't make much economic sense.